Hello everybody, friends of Cosmic Agency, my name is Gosha. I'm very excited to share with you this video today, which is a recompilation of different chats that we had with different Swaruus across the years. It's going to be 4 different chats about the free energy and about the mathematics base 12. Yes, in the second chat, actually I'm going to show you Taygetan digits and some introduction to the mathematics base 12. I think that's how it's said, base 12 mathematics. Yeah, I'm translating from Spanish directly. This first chat is with Swaruu of Erra, which happened in 2020, and it is with Robert and I. And I think it's very interesting because actually it talks about how our minds also work with the free energy field, how they access the ether for certain ideas, and then how these ideas manifest and become matter. So it's all very interesting. Enjoy it, and I'm going to see you before the next part. I'm going to introduce each part so you more or less know what it's about. Originally in Spanish, 2020. Exact date unknown.
How could I link free energy with spirituality and consciousness?
Remember that everything is consciousness, and the ether is consciousness. And gravity is a flow or vector within the ether. So wherever you put your attention, it will create that which you pay attention to, the law of mirrors. That energy that creates what you are thinking about, what makes something tangible manifest, is 0 point, or free energy. You use it all the time. Base 12 mathematics only serves to explain scientifically, non-human, how all the energy dynamics of the ether works. To be able to predict it and to be able to manufacture devices that accentuate or exploit these principles with maximum efficiency in the form of reactors. Your minds are scalar. They are the translators between the ether and what you call the material world. But everything is energy, and the material world is only an idea, personal and shared collective. It is an illusion. As hard as that table may look, it doesn't exist. It is an idea. In stellar navigation, we stop seeing a stellar map, as in physical positions and distances, as of a traditional map, in favor of a map of mathematical interactions within the ether. This is where the base 12 mathematics comes in. It's like in The Matrix, the movies. They don't see the world, streets and people, just numbers and their relationships to one another. It is the same thing. That's why we know that we live in a mathematically encoded energetic matrix and not in a real physical and deterministic world. What amazes me about what you said is this phrase. That energy that creates what you are thinking, what makes something tangible manifest, is 0 point, or free energy. you use it all the time. That is 0-point energy? 0-point energy gets its name because within an energetic mathematical interaction within a system or matrix, a point of decompensation is created between two poles, creating a spark usable as energy. But your mind does the same thing. It takes an idea out of the ether, which is the same as having a connection to source, what you really are, and translates it into a flow of attention, gravity, that creates an ordered mathematical sequence of pulses, harmonic formation of a frequency, that will turn your etheric idea into something material. Because harmonic creation creates nodes, and the nodes come together to create matter with the specific form of the harmonic. The harmonic is mathematical. So what you think becomes matter. Ether becomes matter. The form of thought is the harmonic. That is, be careful what you think, because that is what you will attract. And the gravity, this flow within the ether, within the consciousness, what gives it the creative thrust? Our focus? The fact that you have awareness of what you are, that you exist, that you are. I think, therefore I am. That is the creative energy. Your mind, your dreams, and your fears. That is what forms the harmonics. The ether knows no evil, no love. It just is. You give it that form. I understand. And how do you link gravity with 0-point energy? Gravity is a flow of energy, a flux, a vector of motion, matter in formation. The depolarization between the ether side and the material side is a flux or energy flux, and that is gravity. A depolarization is a spark. Put together enough sparks in a controlled manner, and you have a miniature sun inside your reactor.
Well, I really found this part interesting because anything related to metaphysics and mind and consciousness, I find it very interesting for me personally. And yeah, and I really agree with Swaruu here that when we manifest ideas, when we make them tangible, we access the ether first, and through our attention, gravity, and all that process that was explained, it manifests as matter. And before we continue here, I want to share with you a very fast exercise that I think relates a little bit to this, and I want to share it with you, and I call it the Etheric Scan. Just recently I had a certain decision to make, and I didn't know which way to go, what to do. So I started to meditate, relax, contemplate the decision, and suddenly I got this idea, like I started doing this automatically without thinking. I started doing this, and I started scanning the field, as if I was scanning literally the field, the etheric field, for answers. And why? Because in the ether, the decisions and answers are already there, especially coming from all the other versions of ourselves that have already lived through this situation and have made the decision. So the decisions are already there. There are all kinds of decisions there. That's why I'm coming and I'm scanning those different decisions, and I'm calling, I'm trying to reach and connect with one of those many decisions that were made by many of my variants, that would be most compatible with my life path right now. The one that would make me the happiest here, that would work for me the best. So I'm scanning, and I'm literally saying to myself, I'm scanning right now the field, the etheric field for the decisions, and I'm calling to me, drawing to me the one that's going to be the best for me. And the decision may not come in that specific moment, but what you are doing is you are interacting with the field and letting yourself be open and opening the gate towards those other decisions already floating somewhere out there, executed by your other selves. And the decision, the answer, might come to you at some future point, maybe on the next day or so, but at least you're opening the gates. You are saying, I am scanning the field. So anyway, I just wanted to share this because I thought it somehow connects with the idea of the field and getting ideas out of the ether to make them manifest in a tangible reality. In the next chat, this is Swaruu, Robert and myself, also in 2020, Basics to 12 based math. I've never shared it because, you know, we were going to actually expand on this topic, but it was never developed more, and I think it's just time to share it with you. Swaruu here is actually sharing Taygetan digits. It's very exciting. It's a bit messy in the beginning, especially for people like me who are not that way oriented. But I think it makes sense, and actually it did activate something in me. I felt it. I really liked it. And if you get to study it, it connects. You get to understand it. It's just basics because Swaruu was supposed to actually develop the subject more, but it never happened. So it just stayed there in the air, never published. But I'm publishing here what I have. By the way, if you are just listening to this video, in this part you have to look at the screen because I'm actually showing some symbols that I wasn't able to pronounce. So you'll not understand what I'm referring to if you are just listening. So you have to listen. You have to listen and look at the screen, or maybe later read the transcript. So anyway, I'm going to leave it with you, and I'll see you after it.
Another day. Originally in Spanish, 2020. Exact date unknown. Swaruu, showing basics on Taygetan mathematics. Math is totally different, starting from how we write it. So I have to begin like in kindergarten. Look, this is 1 and this is 2. To eventually give ether formulas for use in a 0-point reactor. But the problem is that for Taygetan in base 12, there is no 0 within a numerical progression. So I can represent the numbers from 1 to 12 as 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, and 12. But what about 13 or 24? The 12 is represented for you as 1, 2, 1, 10, and 2 units. For Taygetan, the 12 is represented as a whole with this symbol, which for you is subtraction. For Taygetan, this is a subtraction and this is an addition. For equal, there is no symbol, neither for multiply nor for division. The closest thing to 24 for you, for Taygetan, would be this, which equals 24. This meaning 24, wow! So this symbol minus of sort as everything. So it's 2 alls. This symbol would be 2. It's a nightmare to translate all this, but here I go. The first thing I've done is to do the numbers with editing programs. The problem is that it is slow and difficult. For you, if you have the base numbers 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 0, you can copy and paste them to form any number. For Taygetan, that can only be done in a limited way, because many big numbers have their own symbol, even if logically they are based on simpler ones. This symbol is 1. This symbol is 2, 3. There is no symbol for 4. There is no symbol for 5. This is 6. No symbol for 7. No symbol for 8. 9. No symbol for 10 and no symbol for 11. And this is 12. No? And how are they represented? I have to draw it from scratch, and that's what I've been doing. Yes, they are represented with symbols, but I don't have a keyboard to write them with. A digital computer numeric pad is not suitable for Taygetan numbers. Showing the image of Taygetan numbers. Wow, thanks. Looking. It's exciting. Notice that there is no 0. That makes it messy to translate formulas.
There is no 0? And how to represent 1000, for example?
Yes, there is in mathematics as a concept, but not in writing. Everything is with multiplications of 12. I am missing numbers, many. For example, the number 144 is written like this, or 12 times 12. But this symbol would be 24. How is it 144? That's the confusion there. The 24 is not this. It is like this. The dots represent a 12. The dash represents the other 12. Fascinating. I think it triggers something. Numerology. Now do numerology with that. It changes everything radically. What number is this? 25? No. 36. This is 25. 2 dozen plus 1. Additional recent comment from Swaruu x Athena. This is 2 and this is 1. Space 1 indicating 12. Space 2 indicating a 1. So it ends up being 2 times 12 plus 1. But this is Taygetan and is not linear, so the number 25 can be represented like this, as above. Or it can be represented like this, or 2 12s and a 1. But this symbol also represents another number, 301. This in the first space indicating 2 times 144 plus 1, 12. That is 300 plus 1, 301. Okay, so 25 is like this. 25 is this, as used more often. Why is the dash omitted? 2 12s and a dot, 1. Because with a dash, 12, it becomes 3 digits, hence 301. 1 digit, 2 digits, 3 digits. Back to the conversation with Swaruu 9. But what I see as a more serious problem is that the whole way of thinking must be changed. Because on Earth, the number 100 is base. But here it is just another number. The base is 144. The point above the dash is a 1, so this symbol is 4. Wow, fun! Yes. Now, those are the numbers the way it is written as a base. But there is a simplified version too. I don't have it ready yet, but it's the same but less elaborate. And finally, there are handwritten numbers that also differ at a simple glance. The task is monumental. There are less elaborate figures? The same, but for example, 11 is 3 dashes with 2 dots above and below the middle one.
How many letters do you have?
It depends on the alphabet, but usually 36 letters. Mayer's alphabet is incomplete. There are also other ways of Taygetan writing according to regions or planets, which further complicates it.
Similar without being the same to the Mayas, who also had lines and dots.
Yes, that's right. Similar, but the Mayas used base 12, which is the same as base 10. The lines with circuits is very Taygetan, as you will see from the alphabet. Is it possible that some of this mathematics can be found in crop circles? I'm pretty sure I've seen some of these digits in some of the circle designs. That's right. A lot of it is in the crop circles, and without base 12 mathematics, you won't understand it. And why do they put it in crop circles? It will not be understood. Do they expect someone to decipher it? To make them think. So they add up the information that will arrive later, through Robert and Gosha. But it's not that they put math in there. Rather, you must understand their geometry with this base 12 mathematics. Also, the 0-point energy formulas are wrong. What we gave about the 0-point energy is just the introduction understandable by the people. It was impossible for me to reveal more at that time. And does your mathematics have anything to do with mathematics that other races use? Yes, basically all advanced races use base 12. The symbols vary, but in essence it is the same. Here in the Toleka or Suzy, everything is written with Taygetan numbers. The data of the HUD or the navigation holograms are in those numbers.
This way, we start learning more about your culture.
As I have told you before, and based on what someone has said, just for reference, it's not that we seem human, but you only see the understandable human part. You can't see the non-human part because there is no reference between the two worlds. It's too many things that differ. So, giving 0-point energy is a challenge. I do it all with a keyboard and with images that I have created with human programs. That in itself is difficult.
Well, I hope you enjoyed it. I think it was very cool. And those numbers definitely, I don't know, activate something in me. That's for sure. Now, the third part is also in 2020, or somewhere between 2020 and 21. This is Yazhi Swaruu talking to Dale Harder, and myself. Dale, for those who don't know, is is a scientist, American scientist, ex-NASA engineer, who also had the privilege to talk to Swaruu and later to Yazhi and a few others. And he participated in many of our conversations in English. So this is the conversation. Enjoy it.
Originally in English, 2020, exact date unknown. Conversation between Yazhi, Dale Harder, and myself. Why can a bird stand on a high voltage wire and not get fried?
It is not grounded, so not part of the circuit.
Exactly. So even though you have unlimited energy in the ether, you cannot access it, and from the same point as there is no depolarization. No circuit. You need to ground something on the other side, the ether side, in order to create a circuit, a spark. What can you do? You need to know how all energy flows and works, harmonics and frequency. As you cannot know the ones on the ether side, you make an array of them to bounce several until you have a mirror effect in your energy dynamics. Meaning that one particle on this side will look for its mirror on the other side. All you must do is produce a circuit that continuously scans, in a scalar way, what is on the other side. And when you get it, you are tuned in. You need a tuner. Create an energy mathematical dynamic with controlled and replicatable frequency ranges. A toroid.
Then it is self-replicating.
What do you scan it with? What's the tuner? You need a constant energy flux on your side, aerial preferably. The tuner is a superconductor metal, preferably room temperature, placed in a Merkaba configuration, as a Merkaba is the basic geometry of a toroid, or will produce the toroid around itself. You feed your Merkaba with different power frequencies to tune in. But that is when you do not already have the frequency. And then the thing will start to glow and produce heat and light like a little sun. And it will run forever, unless it melts your reactor. So you need cooling systems and good materials. Ceramics with superconductor qualities. What does metal have to do with it? To efficiently conduct the electric flux with no energy loss, as it is superconductive.
Unfortunately, I don't think we have any room temperature superconductors yet that are publicly known. Do we?
No, you do not. So you need metallurgy first. And we can go there if you like, as I do have that in my head. But there is one basic, perfect mathematical object you need to replicate in large scale in order for this to work. A double Merkaba. This is the secret for the machine. Perfect geometry in base 12 math. Exact and perfect relation mathematically between all the vortexes in each triangle or triangular energy flow. The biggest issue is complex geometry mathematics in base 12. Notice how similar they are to the letters as well.
Beautiful, isn't it?
Yes, I was just telling Swaruu earlier today how it makes me feel to contemplate that math. It's like music, the ether itself reflected in the form of numbers, flowing, dancing in perfect harmony. It brings me memories. Ether is based and creates everything with mathematically precise harmonics of a frequency. And that is no other but music. Yes, that's exactly how I feel when I contemplate those numbers. It's the tone of the universe itself, being alive, the foundation of all. And also I realized why I always hated Earth math. Because it's no math at all, incorrect and awkward, doesn't flow.
I wonder how it would sound.
Thank you very much, Yazhi. Thank you very much, Dale. Let's move on to the next part. This is the last chat that I'm sharing here with you, and this is the most recent one. This is just from 2 months ago, February, where Athena, Swaruu, is responding one of the questions from the public, from a person who sent me a question. I passed it on to Athena, and she is responding, and this is going to be the last chat I have on this topic for now. So I hope you enjoyed it. I am not going to appear anymore, and enjoy the rest of the video, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye bye.
Originally in English, February 2022. Question from the public. Swaruu once said, "A pyramid is material. 1, 2, 4, 8, 7, 5. The other is on the other side, spirit world, the ether. 3, 6, 9, creating the Merkaba. Thus, creating the flow of energy called free. What's the significance of those numbers? 1, 2, 4, 7, 8, 5 on one side, 3, 6, 9, 12 on the other, yes. Missing the 12 as usual. Math used on and in the pyramids is base 12, not base 10. But it's not explainable with such simple math. It's more complicated, but the base is that, yes. Creates a specific kind of Merkaba. Everything is energy. Everything is frequency. All calculations to build a machine, all calculations of the flow of energy in a machine have to be based on those numbers and their complex equivalents. All calculations, all frequency of energy flowing in exact specific spots of a zero-point machine have to return to those numbers. They polarize energy, some on one polarity, the others in the other, creating a potential differential, therefore a spark, release of useful energy. However, this is the Earth one. 12 is missing, right? 12 is missing, yes. Next day. Originally in Spanish. Everything that exists, matter or energy, which is the same thing, is based on a reciprocating motion pump called toroid. At the moment when the energy is not moving in that self-renewing, reciprocating form, it is dispersed in the form of various types of radiation, from sound, light, to ionizing. As explained in Mechanics of Manifestation, video we made 4 years ago. Matter, as it is known, manifests in a point or node that is sustained by a harmonic of a frequency that feeds the energetic wave high in a specific point without collapsing. It is there where the energy is concentrated to form what could be explained as a minimum particle of matter, being that it is the same as energy, and matter is only illusory, of course. But in mechanics of manifestation, an important point was missing. I don't know if Swaruu forgot it or simply chose not to include it. She is showing in her energetic wave graphs that they form nodes by the action of the harmonics of a frequency as a line. She shows them as a continuous torrent of frequency that travels from one side to another, as would, apparently, a signal from a radio station. That is to say, she shows it as a continuous wave. This is the line that I am referring to, that moves from one side to the other, propagating in space. This would be congruent with a beam of light, localized but not with the propagation of energy that would form a node or particle. That is to say that not even in the laser it propagates this way, being a very simplistic explanation of wave propagation. The energetic waves propagate in the form of concentric spheres of circles, seen in 2 dimensions, as when throwing a stone into a pond. So, to see the propagation of waves as a line, as in the image above, would be to observe the phenomenon with a one-dimensional mentality. This would be the propagation of the same wave as seen from the 2-dimensional point of view. Expansion of waves in 3 dimensions. It is the same phenomenon seen from several dimensions, and yes, it would continue expanding in 4D and in 5D and in 6D to infinity, acquiring greater complexity. But in the space that we see here, that has basically 3 dimensions of direct perception, we will stay for now in the 3D. This would be a sphere that expands from the emitter outward, dispersing in all directions and weakening in the process, which would form a node only very temporarily, and from other more expanded points of view that happens, and that explains the reason for the finiteness of all things and of matter energy as well. But that would be another subject that derives from here. Going back to the mechanics of manifestation, the only way to convert an emitter of energy into a particle or particles of matter would be if the expansion of the waves in the 3D form could be recycled. That is to say, instead of expanding to infinity, they would return to feed themselves. And that is where the famous toroid comes in. It is the expansion of energy with dynamics and harmonics of a specific frequency that forces the emitted energy to feed itself with little or no dispersion. What forces a constantly and uniformly expanding energy to turn around and enter itself is gravity at a specific frequency that affects the wavelength emitted outward as its opposite and exact energetic equivalent. That is to say, a wavelength of, say, 57 MHz frequency is emitted, and its equivalent would neutralize the 57 MHz with an energetic inverse opposite that forces the space-time around the emitted wave to curve into itself. This is the harmonic of a frequency, the exact energetic synchronization that forces a wave not to collapse linearly, forming the nodes by standing wave effect. A standing wave seen in 3 dimensions is a toroid. The minimal matter energy particle, say an electron, is a small toroid. The equations that control the internal dynamics of any reciprocating wave, toroid, are based on mathematics base 12, with the principle that the base numbers 1, 2, 4, 5, 7, 8, 10, 11 represent the expanding part of the toroidal wave, and the numbers 3, 6, 9, 12 represent the contracting waves. But not the waves themselves returning to the nucleus, but to the energetic dynamics that forces these waves to return to the nucleus. An energetic dynamic 1, 2, 4, 5, 7, 8, 10, 11 is created, and another one in 3, 6, 9, 12 with exact opposite charge. What happens when we have opposite charges of equivalent frequency? A spark discharge. And that is the basis of a 0-point reactor, described in a few words and with a lot of missing information. Notice that Tesla is missing numbers 10, 11, and 12. If you insist on 1, 2, 4, 5, 7, 8, and 3, 6, 9, the frequencies between one side and the other are not equivalent, and no spark will form. Very beautiful image, but wrong, and it is visible to the naked eye. The dynamics between 1, 2, 4, 5, 7, 8 and 3, 6, 9 are not equivalent. There is more flux or energy flow on the 1, 2, 4, 5, 7, 8 side. The 0 point of discharge in the center of the image is not in the geometrical center of the energetic dynamics, as it is not in the visible center of that figure. It is not centered. The correct image would have it in the exact center.